Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to the TFT Perspective Views Evolving Situation in Syria. What we witnessed yesterday, the airstrikes that took place in multifarious locations all across Syria by IDF forces, and now statements coming from Turkey, which suggests that things are evolving very quickly. In fact, it's a very threatening statement coming from Turkey against IDF or any Western allies that want to, disturb the sanctity of this nation and prevent the return of so many refugees inside Syria. Right now, there's also breaking news coming that Secretary Blinken is going to Turkey in order to talk with Mr. Erdogan regarding the ongoing issue between SDF and SNA. SDF is an offshoot organization of PKK and YPG. Turkey has huge concerns regarding them, especially when they want to create a country in Syria, in Iraq, as well as across the Turkish border. So, in order to discuss the evolving situation, we have with us Mr. Wakar K. Korvi. Sir, the current standing of Turkish role inside Syria is there are also reports suggesting from social media that apparently HTS has also asked Turkey to send in reinforcements forces inside Syria in order to secure its borders while they compete with the challenge of SDF. And what we have witnessed now is that SDF has withdrawn from provinces all across the western side of Euphrates. Now the Syrian opposition is in complete control of major checkpoints and bridgeheads. So only Raqqa is left, I would suggest.
I think Turkey is the main player here, and as we mentioned in the last, I think 2 or 3 videos, that Turkey is the most affected country in terms of security, in terms of refugees. I think at the peak they were almost closer to 4 million, 3.5 million. And if you look at current time, this is the largest refugee population. Then, of course, is Jordan. Now, had it been just refugees, maybe Turkey would have managed it well. But now, I think we've seen for last almost 10 years with the PKK and YPG being supported by the West, especially US and maybe Israel, and they actually straddle the area along the Turkish Syria border, and they have already given a name, a de facto name for this autonomous region, which is basically Rojava.
Rojava, yeah.
Rojava. So it means they are looking at a country or a state within a state. And Turkey is never accepted because then it starts impacting Turkish Kurdish areas. I think President Tayyip Erdogan was yesterday or day before yesterday in Gaziantep, which is Kurdish, I think, area, Turkish Kurdish area. And there, I think he also communicated across the border that Turkey, one is going to mainly look at 3 objectives. One is, of course, a safe return of refugees, millions of them they would like. And the way I think Al-Assad regime has treated Syrians, it is, I think, condemnable. We've seen, the prison break from which people as I think as small as 3 years. I think he's the youngest prisoner, and he was there for, I think maybe he was born there. And then there are people who were imprisoned for 3 decades. Maybe they were young and now they are into their middle age. And then, of course, is reconstruction of Syria, and then some semblance of governance, because becomes very important that when people return, they are provided with food, shelter, and then they can start their normal life. The other is the power grab taking place by Israel on one pretext or the other. I was just listening to an interview in India, I think today or yesterday, by the ambassador, Israeli ambassador in India, Mr. Azar, who basically said that this was just to preempt, in the buffer zone, so-called buffer zone, which they have occupied, that maybe ISIS doesn't emerge. Just look at, who created ISIS, and now they're saying that. And this is a preemptive move. And with that, they themselves claim that Israel has launched, I think, the biggest air offensive of its history, even more than Yom Kippur War. So it means that they've gone to destroy infrastructure, whatever military capability Syria had, so that, and they say that it should not be falling in the hands of, jihadists and all that. So it means that definitely there is, and then there are right-wing Israeli people in the cabinet who have very clearly mentioned that Damascus has been part of, so-called Jewish empire in the past, and they would like to capture it, and it is very much, and probably they have also have eyes on Jordan. So it means that the definitely when you talk of conspiracy of Greater Israel, something is cooking up here. Then comes the U.S. Today, Syrian areas are being bombed by three states: Israel, U.S. is bombing ISIS, and Turkey is bombing the Kurdish stronghold
In
because.
fact, US CENTCOM General Mr. Kurela also visited the Kurdish positions and talked about how the emerging ISIS threat can, take offshoot inside Syria after a very long time. And
And
there's
there,
also news concerning a lot of Iranian officials saying that US has already provided training ground to many ISIS-minded troopers wherever US bases are, and that's the Iranians claim that it's going to be used not only in Syria but in Iraq as well.
so it means that there is a possibility, as per Iranian, I think, assessment of war expanding into Iraq. Iraq, I think, was stabilized after a very long time.
Mhm.
There was U.S. occupation, destruction of Saddam Hussein forces, and then literally it was under occupation and run by the CENTCOM. And I remember John Abi Zaid, somebody asked, the ex-CENTCOM chief, that what is the final objective of U.S. when you say war on terror? Because this was, I think, a decade back. And mainly in military, you have some geographical objectives, some end states. Somebody asked, what is the end state? And he replied that end state will be when, things in the Middle East settle according to, democratic principles, and terrorists are removed from there, and then this area finds a place in comity of democratic nations. So just look at the open-ended objective, and that's why they spent trillions of dollars and destabilize. Now this is, I think, critical because the West also feels that in case Turkey can stabilize, I think Arab world has been by and large quiet. They have spoken against Israel, let's say, occupation of the buffer zone, but by and large, people are quiet on what's happening inside. So everybody feels that there should be some power to control it, stabilize it, and maybe, as we discussed yesterday, there could be a plan of accommodating each other. All the communities, Alawites, Druze, and then 73% of the Sunnis, Quds, so that they can exist, as it was existing. And they are very smart people, educated people. But unfortunately, I think the West is again trying to exploit it and create an uncertainty and instability in a manner that this keeps on simmering. And maybe they are able to do that. But I think the statement by President Tayyip Erdogan are very important, that he said he will not allow. And if there is a call from the Syrian people that Turkey should be sending forces to stay, because we discussed yesterday, there has to be an external force to come and stabilize, at least guard the borders, and then doesn't allow, let's say, as President Tayyip Erdogan said, external powers to, destabilize it forever. So I think this is becoming very, very critical.
Yeah, in this entire situation, like we mentioned in the previous podcast as well, that a new regime is now set up inside Syria. It's going to take time. Transition of power has already been done, and Israel is making enemies, and it doesn't have any excuse to, incur into Syrian territory, take over different regions. In fact, in one of their TV channels, I saw a lot of their political analysts suggesting that uh, this is a ripe opportunity for us. We should grab as much land as we can. And do you think there is a situation or a scenario building up where tensions might flare up between Israel and Turkey when it comes to the occupation inside Syria, or interference inside Syria?
Now, if you look at the status quo before, let's say, 2 weeks back, when definitely Iranian and Russians were maintaining some stability, and Syria was functioning into, let's say, 5 or 6 enclaves, but a major part of Syria was still with the Al-Assad regime, so there was some semblance of governance. So when that is removed, it means that this is now there is a power vacuum, and the HTS and Syrian National Army is filling it. Uh, there have also been statements now, especially after Israel started. Initially, I think Abu Muhammad Julani was reluctant in passing any comment on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But now, when they saw that they are coming into buffer zone and they are threatening Damascus Definitely. Basically, they are Syrian nationals, and nobody would like it. So it means that one within Syria,
I mean,
they'll
there
be.
would be people who would want to return to Dara, to Kuntara, which are surrounding these regions. Initially, the standpoint of the rebellion was in fact from the south. It started from Damascus and southern regions. Then it came to the northern side.
Yeah, definitely. So these people are, I think, very, very assertive. And there are also, I would say, you know, historical, perception regarding how Golan Heights was occupied. And it still remains, there's the Eastern Golan still, with Syria, and there's a claim that there was a buffer zone and UN was supposed to, let's say, look after it. And now Israel has filled up that vacuum. So one is that Syrian people will start resenting it. The other is the leadership of HTS and Syrian National Army. I'm sure they're going to start thinking. I told you that yesterday that basically Israel was doing three things. One was, of course, grabbing land, destroying infrastructure, and then trying to create cleavages and sending messages to Iran, Russia, and Turkey that so that there is a sectarian conflict. And I think so far Iran has avoided. There is also a news that there was a conference before that, in which I think the important foreign ministers from Iran, Turkey, and Russia had met. And probably there was an understanding that what is coming. So maybe that's why I think Bashar al-Assad could have a clean break. But main thing is that statement coming from Abu Muhammad Jolani regarding it's not only defending Syria. He said that after Damascus, then we are going to advance to Al-Quds al-Sharif. So there is, and then there are some videos unconfirmed that when they are saying that maybe Gaza people should wait for us. So it means that in case Israel want to open now the fourth front, because they had a front with Lebanon, Hezbollah, then they had a front with Houthis, they
According
had a front
to
with
Prime
Hamas.
Minister Netanyahu, Israel has 7 fronts.
Maybe. So this is the eighth front they want to open. So most welcome. Because I am sure with the statement coming from President Tayyip Erdogan, and that's why I think Anthony Blinken is rushing. I think they are left with Biden administration now left with almost
A month?
almost a month.
Yeah, almost a month.
And America or President Trump are now busy informing government.
Never have I seen a US administration which is about to, be changed, be so much busy in their last months.
Yeah, because they created this. If you look at so we did a paper on making short of the long war, which was mentioned that how basically they came to Middle East for nothing, and then just to control hydrocarbon hub, and then of course to destabilize the region. And these are, I think, part of the same. These are phases of that conflict. So in case Israel wants, let's say, attention leading to a conflict with Turkey, I think this is going to be huge, because in case there is a conflict or war between Israel and Turkey, I feel that now this is real World War III starting.
Yeah, definitely. Then
Yeah.
I mean, all the bars would be gone by then. Last question would be that what role do you, because yesterday you also mentioned that the foreign ministers, the foreign offices of Saudi Arabia, of Qatar, of UAE, of Egypt, in fact of Jordan now as well, now Turkey, the Turkish president himself is now saying that. So in a greater context, if you think there is a regional conflict between Israel and Turkey, and there is already an involvement of Iran in this aspect as well, don't you think that this land grabbing is going to be up in the nerves of the Arab states as well, in Jordan, in Saudi Arabia, that on the pretext of just a very stupid reason, Israel can just come into our borders and say we are creating a buffer zone. We are creating a buffer zone. Egypt also came up with a very strong wording regarding this.
I think the Arab world has to put in entire Middle East, and then maybe if you look at the outer periphery in which we are located, you even have Bangladesh who can provide forces, Pakistan. I'm not saying that this should be the policy, but I think in order to stop this
Nonsense, I would
conflict,
say.
expanding, and in order to also communicate it to Israel that this will not be allowed. I'm sure President Tayyip Erdogan may have consulted his Arab friends also. So they are also worried. And as you are saying, if this sets the precedence, they start from Gaza, you obliterate it, you bomb it closer to 5 nuclear weapons of Hiroshima size. Then you also, bomb West Bank, you bomb Lebanon, including Beirut,
Mhm.
and then you hit the Yemenis and you try to actually
Israel also hit the other side of the Rafah border crossing in Egypt as well.
Egypt, yes. And so it means that those claims, Damascus, and then there's a claim on entire Jordan, I think,
Mhm.
at least up to some of the rivers. So it means that in case nobody stops it, they are not going to stop. And that's why I think Arab world should be. There's also issue of note later on things settling down. West Asia should have a break. Trade and commerce, normal life coming in, because expanding war then start affecting all the trade routes, Suez Canal, Red Sea, Strait of Hormuz, and then you have aviation flights. Already we are seeing restrictions on commercial, because this is a big commercial airlines route. So all told, I think maybe OIC can then sit together, because I think there is an urgent need to address because matter of millions of Syrians also, and then
The
people
overall
living
region as well.
overall region. So if we keep, I think, let's say, maybe leaving it to Turkey only, probably we'll have more problems. So in order to stop it, I think we should be supporting Turkish president and the way he's taken the stance.
Yeah. So that's it for today, folks. Please do leave a like and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much for watching us. Bye bye.